Hello. Obviously, I did something wrong and the intro didn't play. Welcome to episode 14 of Cryptid Conversations. I don't know.
I
I
can't believe it only took us 14 episodes to do something wrong.
listen. I'm yeah.
Yeah.
Today's one of those days where I just want to hide in the sand because I'm tired.
It's been a long week.
Yes, but as you guys can see, I'm wearing my UNSC. My USS Nostromo hat today. I'm wearing a shirt with UFO over Bigfoot and Nessie over in the lock. So what does that mean for us today? Well, I guess that means
We're talking
talking
aliens.
alien.
You got to do the guy with the hair.
Alien.
There you go. Got it.
So, with that being said, all of us have kind of looked up some alien sightings that may be off the beaten path that you may not have heard of. And before we get into that, let me introduce our wonderful panel of amateur cryptozoologists.
I'm an amateur nothing. Just
Yeah.
there.
You are not. Listen, I am we are amateur cryptozoologists. We are professional other things. Especially this group, we are a bunch of professional assholes. So we all work.
True.
Oh yeah.
True.
I'm a professional innocent person.
Lies. Oh, I'm
Lies.
sorry. That was a little loud.
Always lies. It's definitely
Happy
lies.
Derby Day as well.
Was it the Kentucky Derby?
Kentucky Derby Day.
Is that the horse one?
Yeah, it's the one where people ride horses and wear big, fancy, wet, weird hats.
Mm.
Yeah. It's the American version of the British Grand National.
You know, I never thought I would say this, but I believe I prefer NASCAR over horse racing. And
I'm not a fan of horse racing personally, but
No. To each their own.
Yes.
I just like seeing the pretty ponies.
Look at the pretty pony. Okay, so starting us off. I, for some reason, can't see Kate's comment.
Oh, she's yelling at me.
You stay on target. Stop picking on us.
That's her job, sir. That is her job.
All right. See, I can't see her comment unless I make a comment myself, but I'm also trying to pull up what I have. All right, so I'm trying to stay on target. Shush. Jasper, what do you have for us? What rando sighting do you have for us today?
I have a very short sighting of a green ball of light.
What? Let's go.
This witness was driving back from their girlfriend's house on driving south on Highway 167 between Kent and Auburn. While driving, they just happened to notice that there were no cars on the highway going north or south except for them. There were no lights on the road, nor any house lights on either side of 167 because it was mainly farmland and pastures. Then all of a sudden, they saw a bright green sphere shoot down in their vision. It was right in front of their truck. They could not tell how far away it was, but in their view, it seemed to be about the size of a quarter. It was really bright green, almost fluorescent colored. Its shape, it had a band that wrapped around it like a Tootsie Roll lollipop. It stayed that same shape as they continued to drive. They were going about 60 miles per hour. They quickly looked around to see if there were any other types of vehicles, lights coming from that side, or anything that could explain it. But there was nothing remotely similar to this object. Then, as fast as they saw the object, it took off into the sky almost straight up in a split second. The witness tried to track it, but it was too fast. After that, they started to see vehicles on the highway going north, as though this break in traffic was irregular. Then vehicles started heading south, appeared in their rearview mirror. It was almost like they were the only ones allowed to witness this object. This witness never told anybody about this until a few months later. After that, they started having dreams of something chasing them. The dreams lasted for several weeks, then stopped, and they haven't seen anything like that since. I also have the top 10 sightings, top 10 cities of Washington for sightings of the UFOs. In number 10, we've got Auburn with 106 UFO sightings. In number 9, we've got Bremerton with 111 UFO sightings. In Olympia, we've got, for number 8, is 118 sightings. Number 7 is Yakima with 121 sightings. Bellingham, number 6, with 146 sightings. Number 5, Everett with 168 sightings. Number 4, Tacoma with 227 sightings. Number 3, Vancouver with 232 sightings. Number 2, Spokane with 277
And
sightings.
drum roll for number 1.
Number 1 is Seattle with 747 sightings, which is a huge amount compared to the rest of them.
It would be Seattle.
I mean, they do have the Space Needle.
No comment.
True. Space Needle.
And that's all I have for
I've
you
heard
guys
of
today.
Space Needle. That's good because mine is a little long and crazy, but Torsten's next, right?
Yep. Torsten, what do you got next? What do you got for me next?
Unfortunately, nothing obscure from over here, because everything seems to get classified very, very quickly here in the UK.
Well, I mean, you guys do classify,
so
things
what
rather
I've
quickly.
got is sort of a history of sightings in the UK that go all the way back to the 12th century.
Ooh, the 12th century.
Yes, 1113 is the first ever recorded sighting, where religious pilgrims in the southwest of England reported seeing a glowing, fire-belching dragon emerge from the sea, fly into the air, and disappear into the sky.
It was the Cuba.
I love history.
Then there were some sightings in the 13th century, and then absolutely nothing for the next 700 years.
Makes sense.
Sorry, 800 years until the early 1900s.
There's a reason why it was called the Dark Ages.
Yeah, because y'all were boring as fuck.
Well, no, the religious groups had them all afraid to say anything about any sightings or anything crazy because then they would get burned at the stake for being a witch.
Exactly.
Yeah, and also
I saw a burning ball of
taking
light
over the
shoot
world.
up into the sky. You're a witch.
Yep.
How do you know she's a witch? Send me into a newt. A newt. I got better. Sorry, I was reliving
Also
Monty
during
Python
those,
and the Holy Grail there.
My favorite
Also-
book.
also during those 800 years, this little island that I live in was taking over most of the known world. So we were rather busy.
Keyword
Yeah.
known world.
Yeah. But I mean, let's just call it what it is. Did you keep it?
Oh,
How much do I care about that? 1776. That's how much I care about that.
10 points to
18, sorry.
Gryffindor for that one.
And I'm going to say
I-
1812,
I'm-
1952, and 1956.
Actually, I should say Slytherin for that one.
Yes, I am Slytherin. Let's call it for real now. Come on.
So we then have sightings from the early 1900s, and very few sightings up until the 1940s,
Okay.
where Winston Churchill himself
Yeah.
banned reporting for 50 years of any alleged UFO sighting.
Because they were helping them win the war.
Reports
Because
given to Churchill
Alien.
claimed incidents involving the RAF and reconnaissance planes returning from missions from France and Germany, allegedly when flying near the English coastline, aircraft were intercepted by strange metallic objects that matched their course and speed for a
These
time
make it
before
seem
accelerating
something
away and disappearing. We then have a very large increased amount of sightings in the 1950s. And a lot of them around military bases, including bases that we loaned out to our dear friends from America. Again, a huge jump from the 1950s to the 1960s in reported sightings, and again, mainly around military bases.
Okay.
There was then a dramatic fall off in the 1970s of reported sightings, where most of them have come from rural areas in the southwest of the UK. So that would be down near Glastonbury and Land's End.
Okay.
And then in the 1980s, it started going up again.
Started going up again. How so?
It started going up again. And in the 1980s, they moved from away from military bases and rural areas to small towns and villages,
Okay.
being the focus of these encounters. Then we get into the 1990s, and they shot up by over 1,000 sightings a year,
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
increasing each year.
That's a lot.
And they were then spread all over the place, from military bases to the inner cities, to rural areas, to small towns and villages, to off the coastline. And then we get into the 21st century, where they've declined again. There have been,
Well, because we suck.
since the turn of the 20th
We got boring.
century into the 21st century, the UK has had 47 reported sightings.
Damn.
I assume that there are more
But people just don't
that
talk
are
about them.
unreported or have been classified by the Ministry of Defence.
All I heard was Ministry of Magic. I am who I am.
But the ones in recent years have been around commercial aircraft and military bases.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is going to definitely feed into what I got to say.
Okay.
We go small lots, small lots, and then small again. So eclectic we are.
Orson, are there any
Yes.
are there any hot spots, like specific areas that have a lot of like high density of UFO sightings or UAP?
Down in the West Country have the most sightings. I couldn't find anything on specific numbers,
Mm-hmm.
but the West Country seems to be the most populous spot. So Devon, Cornwall, leading up into the south
Oh,
of Wales.
I love Devon and Wales. I just love anybody who can speak Welsh. It's great.
Yeah,
That was
it's not.
interesting.
It's not. It's
Yeah.
not a language.
The only thing I know of the Welsh is they got great kickers, and in the replacements, that guy's the funniest guy in the whole movie.
The leg. What was
The
his
leg.
name? I can't remember
I'm
his name right
wiry.
now. He's wiry. I call my cats that. Oh, hi. Hello, Nero Augustus. I need you to lay down. Thank you. Bye.
Is that all we got from you here today, Thorsten?
That's all. That's all we've got.
Okay. Well, thank you, Minister of Magic. We're going to move over here to the stateside to the Mistress of the Force. We're going to have
Progenitor of chaos.
the Chaos Queen herself,
Yes.
Miss Michelle. What do you have for us from the Virginia Beach area?
Goodness. So, does anyone know what the national average is per 100,000 residents for UFO UAP sightings in the United States?
A
Per
number.
100,000.
How many?
The national average is 32. 32 sightings per 100,000 residents. Okay? Okay. So, Virginia, national average 32. The Virginia average per 100,000 residents for UFO and UAP sightings. Wild guess?
32.
Nope.
50.
Nope.
More?
85.
61. You were close. So, double the national average for UFO and UAP sightings in my little hamlet of Virginia. So according to the National UFO Reporting Center, I did a little bit of digging to kind of see what the numbers were. Historically, there are roughly anywhere between 70 to 200 UFO sightings in this area annually. Interesting. So
I wonder
I have
why
a couple
so high
of
in Virginia Beach.
I have theories, I have some thoughts, and I have some specifics that I want to talk about.
I think they like to watch people tan on the beach.
We don't have any nude beaches here, though.
Yeah, still.
I have other thoughts.
Where do you think those gusts of wind come from?
Old dudes farting from Florida?
No. Anyway, go ahead.
It's in my brain. Okay, so are you aware what Virginia Beach is, or the 7 cities in this area? This is a very tight 7 cities. It's called Hampton Roads. We have Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Newport News, something else I can't remember. Suffolk. Yeah. Anyway, so we have the 7 cities. Do you want to know what we are known for here?
What are you guys known for?
We have the largest military base in the United States, if you combine all of the military bases, because not only do we have Navy, we have Army, we have Air Force, we have Marines, now we have Space Force, FYI. We have Coast Guard, all in this 7 cities area. So it begs the question, why are there so many UFO, UAP sightings? Well, one, it's because we have a very abundant volume of Navy and Air Force planes in the sky. So we have a better visibility. We also have Wallops Island. If you know what Wallops Island is, that's where they do a lot of the launches, space launches,
Mhm.
Yeah, space launches. But I digress. So Virginia Beach has been identified by multiple different outlets as being a potential hotspot for UAP. Numerous reports and testimonies, most of which come from former Navy pilots,
Okay.
which is kind of interesting to me. So there's a couple of ones that are interesting. The first one I want to talk about is former Navy pilot Ryan Graves. In 2014, they were on a training mission, and Ryan Graves calls in a report. It's recorded, both video and audio of this whole instance. His whole squadron of 7 planes all saw the same thing. They saw a clear sphere with a gray cube inside, hovering, motionless in the distance, just hovering. They all were very unsettled. They all were trying to figure out if, how would that happen? Is everyone's oxygen on some sort of crazy thing? Was some sort of gas? Like, why were they all seeing the same thing? There wasn't really a logical explanation of why this was happening. It was very unsettling to them. I quote from Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich, who was also in that detail. It was unidentified, and I was unsettled, to say the least. It was just kind of moving there, sitting, just sitting. That dude, yeah, unsettling to say is at least.
Yeah.
But that one kind of got me because, I was on an aircraft carrier when I was in the Navy, and like the pilots would come back and they would talk about like stuff that they saw, and I didn't realize it was prevalent with the Navy pilots as much as it was. So I'll go into a few of the things that I found. There's been multiple sightings, different squadrons, different people, different flights, between all over the East Coast, but mostly here in the Virginia area. We have one pilot in the area who recorded a near miss where it was in front of him, but it did not show on the radar. He had to do an evasive maneuver to avoid it, but again, did not show on the radar. There's also been unusual characteristics of things, highly maneuverable things that are being seen, accelerating hypersonic speeds, movements that defy conventional flight physics. We have a lot of these encounters that are recorded. We have a lot of radar evidence, but it is ridiculous. So where's this last one that I want to talk about? Where'd it go? I have too many tabs. There are also many hearings that are being taken up in what are they called? Government meetings, intelligence meetings with all of the different UFOs and UAPs, making sure that they're not drones, making sure that they're not foreign counterintelligence gathering machines. But yeah, so Navy pilots in this area, are more apt to see something than any other pilots ever.
That's quite
But
interesting.
yeah, there's just a lot of military sightings, and whereas it used to be kind of a you know, if you see something you don't talk about it kind of idea, it's become so prevalent, especially here, that no one really judges you for saying, yeah, I was at a flight and I saw a thing, I think it was a UFO.
Yeah.
But that's just the military sightings that I'm looking at. If I go down the path of like actual civilian sightings, it's also ridiculous. Like we have the Great Dismal Swamp that is between Virginia and North Carolina. It's just big swampy mess.
Mhm.
Lots of lights floating in the area. A lot of people said swamp gas. You know, you swamp.
Yeah, saying it's swamp gas or mixing with radiation in the air and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's just a large per capita UFO sightings in this area, higher almost by double digits than any other place in the United States. So, that is the number that stuck out to me was, you know, the national average is 32 and our average per 100,000 is double that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's meant.
Now here's something I want to bring up
Yeah.
on the fact on military sightings. Um, they always try to they've always tried to like explain it away as something different than
Yes.
what it actually was. Um, they've always been like, oh, you know, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing. My question is, what is it actually? Like, are they, you know,
Well,
fucking
okay. Let's go back a little bit to the main question here. This is a very vast space that we have here. We
yeah,
are but one planet in a solar system, in a galaxy, in a massive array of galaxies. The likelihood, the likelihood of us being the only planet with intelligent life is astronomically stupid. But
I would agree.
the likelihood of another planet with intelligent life traveling here and doing weird stuff is also low, but it's not a zero.
Now, here's another thing that I've heard. They've said it's a random occurrence of the way planets align and their reflection off of water and things like that of that nature. I've heard multiple things, but in today's day and age, when we're having things come to light, we're in a age of knowledge, an age of where secrets are coming out. We're seeing a lot more of these things come to light. I mean, they just recently admitted that they have an aliens craft.
Mm.
I'm more aligned to believe that it's like in the movie Paul, they got the equivalent of a fucking ice cream truck.
Would not be surprising.
Mm.
It was-
If we have it, show me.
I want to see it,
Show me.
but I'm
I
not as dumb as Mr. Beast saying, "Hey, come on, let's go storm Area 51."
no.
You know,
But
I'm not saying go storm a military base where you're gonna get shot at.
so I'm not saying that I don't trust the military or the government, but I don't trust the military or the government. So if you're
I don't
saying
trust either of them either.
you got something, show me. I'm
Show
not
it.
going to believe you until, like, you can tell me all day long. I have a 7-foot purple unicorn in my backyard, but until I see it, you're just a dude telling me something that I don't really have any evidence or believe.
Exactly.
Mm.
We need to know what is being held from us at some point. But also, there's a on the other side of the coin, a person is smart. People are
Yep.
dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Um, people are dumb. To unfortunately quote another movie, uh, dumb, scared, irrational animals.
Yep.
And we will fuck shit up.
Yes.
It's in our nature. Um, much like a topic that I found, a sighting that I have been researching for this entire craziness. Um, close to 60 years ago. I mean, right now. I mean, 1966. I'm talking about
That was 80 years ago.
1966 was
Hey
59.
Siri, how many years ago was 1966?
It was 58 years ago.
58 years ago.
58
Hey
years,
Siri.
depending on what month. But we're going by January, so 59 years ago. Okay. 59 years ago, in the middle of winter, in the small suburban town of Wanacue, New Jersey.
Like, is that barbecue but with a Wana in front of it?
Wana. Wanaquue. Wanacue. Which is one of my neighboring towns. The air was clear and cold, and the residents of this Passaic County borough went about their usual daily routines. Little did they know that before the day was over, something would happen, something fantastic and unexplained. What would change their lives? Nobody really realized, but many of these townsfolk would be changed forever. It all started on a Tuesday night. It was about 6:30 p.m. and the winter sun was already long gone. The Wanacue Reservoir, very large reservoir in New Jersey, in northern New Jersey. It's where a lot of towns get their water from. And a patrolman by the name of Patrolman Joseph Sisko was in his cruiser when a call from the Pompton Lakes dispatcher. Now, Pompton Lakes had its own dispatcher, but they relayed everything through Butler Dispatch. Butler Dispatch, the lead Butler dispatcher at that time was my grandmother, my mother's mother. So she heard all of these things coming through the radio. So much radio chatter that night. But came over the police radio, and it was reported of a glowing light, possibly a fire. When, as if right out of a science fiction movie, Cisco heard the words, "People in Oakland, Ringwood, Patterson, Totowa, and Butler claim there's a flying saucer over the Wanacue." I pulled into a sand pit and an open area to get my bearings, said Cisco. There was a light that looked bigger than any of the stars, about the size of a softball or a volleyball. It was pulsating, white, stationary light, changing to red and back to white. It stayed in the air. There was no noise at all. I was trying to figure out what it was. Now, mind you, this is 1966. They're not thinking aliens. They're probably thinking it's the Russians, which probably not far off. I hear they got tails over there. Anyway,
Nope.
Wanacue Mayor Harry T. Wolf, Councilman Warren Hagstrom, and Arthur Barton, and the mayor's 14-year-old son Billy were on their way to oversee the burning of the borough's Christmas trees when they heard the reports that something very white, very bright, and much bigger than a star was hovering over the Wanacue Reservoir. This was seen by so many people that, like, it should have been a well documented case. Billy told reporters the next day it was just a continuous light that changed from white to red to green and back to white several times. All right. Take it easy on my floors. Sorry, I have to yell at my son. I can hear him bouncing on the floor. The phenomenon was terribly strange, Mayor Wolf would later recall. He described the shape of the unidentified object as oval and estimated it to be between 2 and 9 feet in diameter. The next thing that Officer Cisco remembers is his patrol car's radio going bananas, as he says. From all over a 20-mile radius flooded into the police headquarters. Cisco radioed Officer George, don't laugh, Dykerman, who was on patrol nearby. Two teenagers came running up to his patrol car, frantically pointing at the sky and shouting, "Look, look." Now, mind you, I'm giving you this. This is what I'm reading to you right here is from the Weird New Jersey article that came out about this sighting. So you're going to hear a little bit of this, a little bit of that. All right. Now, let's see. It was also witnessed by a man named Spencer and reservoir employee Fred Steins, who both raced to the top of the 1,500-foot long Raymond Dam, where they described seeing a bolt of light shoot down as if attracted to the water, like a beam emitted from a porthole. Now,
Like a
mind you,
lightning or just a solid
solid beam of light
beam of light?
that you would see like coming out of a porthole of a ship.
Okay.
According to John Shuttle, a town councilman who witnessed the UFO, I saw it, a brilliant white object 2 or 3 feet across. Now, he says it's 2 or 3 feet across. There's many discrepancies in how what the size is, but also you got to remember people's relative positioning to these things that they're seeing. Right? 2 or 3 feet across, and its color, no, not color, shade. It kept changing. So it went. He said it didn't have color. It had shades. It would shade in, shade out, shade in, shade out. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Another sighting of the UFO was from Patrolman Jack Wardlaw. He reported seeing a bright white disc floating in the vicinity of his home in the Stonetown section of Wanacue, just west of the reservoir. It seemed like only a block away above Lily Mountain, maybe 1,000 feet up. Wardlaw said, "Don't ask me what it was, but I do know it wasn't any helicopter, plane, or comet. It shot literally right and left. It stopped, it moved straight up, and then it moved down and disappeared in the direction of the Ringwood to the north." Now, he also describes the object definitely disc-shaped and at certain angles egg-shaped.
So it changed shapes?
It changed shapes evidently depending on who saw it.
So it was almost like breathing, like contract.
Like it had its own, yeah,
Yeah.
like it was something alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Sergeant Dave Cisco said that he was on patrol at about 6:30 in the evening when the UFO noisily hovered into view. It glided, then streaked faster than a jet, he told reporters. And when it rose, it went straight up. After the January 1966 sighting, radar was installed atop the reservoir's dam. Now,
yeah, that's
as you were saying, historically, things don't show up on radar.
yeah.
These things don't show up on radar. So why the hell would you install radar? But, hey, whatever. Got to suspend a little bit of disbelief in this world.
Well, it's hit or miss. Like maybe it's planetary. Maybe like the aliens from like planet Jim Bob don't show up on radar, but aliens from planet Kentucky do. I don't know. I got nothing.
Well, a similar sight, same type of sighting happened again in October of that year. Whatever it was that visited the skies over Wanacue Reservoir in January reappeared for its most fantastic showing to date in October. The first reported sighting of it came shortly after 9 p.m. on the evening of Monday, the 10th, when Robert J. Gordon of Pompton Lakes and his wife Betty saw what they describe as a single saucer-shaped object about the size of an automobile glowing with white brilliance.
Okay.
At first, I thought it was a star, Betty Gordon recalled, but it seemed to be moving. It had a definite pattern. It would move to the left of the tower, then move back directly over the tower. I'm quite sure it was not a star or a planet. Wanacue Police Sergeant Ben Thompson was driving his patrol car south along the reservoir at the time. Thompson looked out of his car and, to his astonishment, saw the UFO heading right towards him. I saw the object coming at me, he said. There was an extremely bright light. It was a bright white light, bright like when a light bulb is about to blow. Now, anybody who's ever seen a light bulb blow that doesn't have LED lights in their house, the old light bulbs, right before they would blow, they would glow hot white and then explode.
I've seen things blow and explode before.
It was, let's see, he says it was very low to the ground. It appeared to be about 75 feet over the mountain. Okay, now here's where things get interesting, folks. We're going to talk about what people were told. 13 years after the 1966 UFO sightings at Wanacue Reservoir, a non-profit organization called Vestigia, which is based in Byram, prepared a detailed study of the strange lights that were witnessed. Vestigia, an organization that seeks to provide plausible scientific explanation for unexplained phenomena, came to the conclusion that the glowing lights that were seen over Wanacue by hundreds of people were the result of seismic pressure from the nearby Ramapo Fault. Okay, I'm going to say this. The Ramapo Fault is not close to the Wanacue Reservoir. As a resident of New Jersey, I could say that. I could tell you exactly where the fault line goes, and it's nowhere close.
Somebody gave you guys too many options when it comes to vowels and syllables in New Jersey. Like,
Yeah.
No. Can't we just go back to naming things like Elm Street?
No. Anyway, Vestigia's theory, however, did little to dissuade eyewitnesses from their belief that what they had seen was indeed a UFO. Wanacue officer Jack Wardlaw and Chuck Theodora. I'll tell you, New Jersey, we gotta always have a vowel on the end of our names.
I'm saying somebody just needs to take away the marker from the New Jerseyans. New Jerseyans? New Jerseyites?
New Jerseyans.
New Jerseyans.
New Jerseyans.
Yeah.
Anyway, Chuck Theodora rejected the Army's initial explanation of the mysterious lights as merely swamp gas or a helicopter.
Swamp gas.
And did likewise with Vestigia's content. Now, the Pentagon offered its own scenario, what hundreds of people had witnessed in the skies over the reservoir that January is nothing more, ready for this one,
Go for it.
than the planets Venus and Jupiter in a rare celestial alignment.
Yeah, it sounds legit.
Yeah.
Totes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to agree with that.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't.
Anything that comes out of the Pentagon, is bullshit anyway. So, although we do have some really cool guys in the Pentagon right now. I got to say that. There's some sergeant majors that I would love to sit down and just have a beer with.
I was gonna say something and then I got sidetracked, but now I remember what it was. On this topic. So on the weird scale, the like sightings and weird scale.
Mhm.
So if you look at inventions and things, ghost sightings were crazy high.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we got cameras and things that could prove that maybe that wasn't a good idea. And now it's kind of the opposite. Like we do have sightings of things that we can't explain, that possibly maybe some of these ghost sightings that people were talking about were actually UFOs or UAPs or some sort of thing. I mean, realistically, anything that you can't identify is an unidentified aerial
Object.
phenomenon. So
Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes down to these things, I mean, here's my question for you guys. Do you believe that there's something out there?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. Because you'd have to be crazy to think that this is the only planet that can support life
Absolutely.
that's out there in this galaxy. Now,
We
here's
have-
the other thing. If something is smart enough to create interstellar travel, I'm going to say this as best as I can describe it. They're definitely a carnivorous species.
You need meat.
You need proteins for brain growth. You need certain.
Maybe it's different on their planet. Maybe
But-
they eat algae and they're just as good.
Well, listen, I'm going to say this. Anything that comes here is probably looking for a fight
Or dinner.
or dinner.
Let's be honest, we'd be considered fast food.
Listen, I would
So-
have been very happy had they taken my middle aunt and taken her away for the rest of her life. I would have been fine. They could have made her
So
their
I
pet.
have an
But my crazy aunt has decided that, I was abducted by aliens. I was on the ship that night in 1966.
Since we're talking crazy and since we only have 6 minutes left in our
Psycho.
Saturday, I want to offer a alternate theory.
Okay.
What if UFOs and UAPs are not people or species from other planets, but they are future us going back in time?
To see where we've screwed up.
Yeah.
I
And
like
that's
the theory.
why we're stopping things.
I like the theory.
It's basically Futurama. It's Fry and Leela are coming to check on us. And like,
I like the theory. I'm not sold on the theory.
I'm positing an alternative. I'm not saying I
And I hate that I'm
100% think
quoting
that's
this
right,
movie.
Do it.
Indiana Jones and and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
but I don't know what movie you're talking about. That movie doesn't exist.
They're interdimensional beings. that come from another dimension. I mean, the government has said, yes, there are other dimensions. But for the most part, we cannot access them.
Crystal skulls. I can't right now.
Yeah.
No, I think any life form that's intelligent enough to travel across galaxies is going to look on us and think, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. True.
And here's another thing. And I'm gonna jump back to Michelle's theory here. This is our future. Dun 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 dun.
They might do better than our government. I mean, I'm
Dun,
just
dun,
saying.
dun,
Like, maybe
dun,
we
dun.
should put them in charge for a little bit.
We're gonna have our future is Skynet. I don't think that we're coming back to the future just to see where we screwed up. But I don't know. I don't think in our lifetime we're gonna figure it out.
No,
No.
I don't even think in my child's lifetime they'll figure it out.
I think the whole point of all of this is always keep an open mind and question everything.
yep, I'd agree with that.
I will listen. I will say this: question everything the government ever tells you.
Well, I question everything, period. Like,
Question everything, always.
yes. Especially the government. But that's
Oh,
another
yes.
story. I that's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast, and we don't do that here. Anyway, I know.
Oh, I'm going to another galaxy in a couple months. I think we're trying to do another Disney trip.
Hey, there you go.
Take me with you.
Of course, come on. I can put you in my luggage. You're so tiny and cute.
Get me a Wookiee pin.
I'm gonna get you a Wookiee face.
You can give me a Wookiee face?
Yeah, just cut it off.
He's already got the Wookiee face.
Oh yeah. Anyway.
Well,
Anyway.
apart from the top hair.
Hey, leave me alone, all right? I'm an old ass Wookiee. All right. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, question everything always when it comes to aliens and anything that comes from extra dimensions and things of that nature.
Extra. Yeah.
Anything that is a little bit extra than terrestrial. With that being said, Jasper.
It's been lovely, all you people, and I hope y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thorsten.
What?
You know what?
What?
Son of a
bitch. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your day, weekend, and upcoming week. And as usual, see you asses back here next weekend.
Oh my God. Michelle.
In honor of the month of May, I say, may the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
And no, you're supposed to say, and also the 5th. Ugh, ruin it.
No, because I'm going to say, you can, may the 4th be with you all you want, but Revenge of the 5th is a Monday.
Bourbon at my house. Let's go.
Anyway, everybody have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Star Wars weekend, however you choose to. Also, enjoy the stars in general this week.
And try not to get abducted by aliens because they're anal probes.
Yeah, don't be like my
something
aunt my crazy middle aunt who got abducted by aliens and was on the ship over in 1966. Yeah, okay. Anyway, we'll get you back here next weekend. Same bad time, same bad channel. Keep an eye in the community note section of the page. That's where we'll be announcing what next week's episode will be. Look for that about midweek. We will catch you next week. Stay beautiful, stay blessed, and if you can't be good, be bad. If you're gonna be bad, at least fucking be good at it. We'll catch you later.